So you've seen the PlayStation 3 Supreme mod, or you've seen the PlayStation 2 Extreme. Maybe you've even seen the PlayStation 1 Max mod. But do you know what one of these is? This is the newest mod, and it fits in your pocket. Now these videos always get tons of comments, and there's always a lot of questions. So I thought today we'd bring along the person who knows the most about this mod. That would be Dr. Mod. Right here. So today, we're gonna go over a brand new mod, and we have the doctor here to ask all the questions. Well, if you are a PlayStation fan, buckle up, because in this video, we're gonna check out the newest, most travel-friendly PlayStation mod yet. This is a PlayStation TV. So what is this thing?
So Chris, it's basically like a PS Vita that you can hook up to your TV. It's got an HDMI output. It's got an Ethernet socket. It's got a port for your PS Vita memory card, and it's actually got a slot for a PS Vita cartridge.
It actually plays your PlayStation Vita games. So if you don't remember exactly what these things were, back after Sony was kind of cooling down on the PlayStation Vita, things were starting to slow down a little bit, they released what they called the PlayStation Vita TV, which are these little handy gadgets. I believe the white one was Japan only.
Yeah, that was Japan.
We got just the black one. But for $99.99, so for $100, you can buy this little console. It's basically a PlayStation Vita without the screen, without the buttons. Like Dr. Mod said, it's HDMI out. You plug it right into your TV. It plays your PlayStation Vita cartridges. Or, you know, back when the store was still open, you could put a memory card in here and you can download Vita games to it.
Yeah.
But Dr. Mod has sort of discovered something about the PlayStation Vita TV recently. Why don't you tell me what this thing is?
Well, you know, one of the things I thought is the Vita mod is pretty awesome, but it'd be also kind of neat to be able to play that on a big screen. And so I thought the PS Vita TV would be the best way to go. And it's got to say, it's pretty awesome. You can hook this thing up to your TV, sync a DualShock 3 controller to it, and play all your favorite PS Vita and PSP games on it, including PS1 games.
One of my favorite mods that I've gotten from you is the PlayStation Vita. Obviously, all these other ones are awesome too, but I was a huge fan. I was a huge fan of the PSP, and then, of course, I was a mega fan of the Vita. So when you get the Vita mod, you have the PSP games and the Vita games, and you have all the other emulators that have become pretty common on most of these mods. But I never thought about a PlayStation Vita TV. I've had one of these things sitting around forever. I actually bought one when they first launched, and I gotta be honest with you, I think I maybe played it 2 times and was like, it's novel, but I'm more of a travel guy. Well, now you can totally travel with one of these. And don't worry, here in a minute, we're gonna hook this thing up. Dr. Mod's gonna show us how to navigate it, and we're gonna take a look at it. So first off, I always try and put these mods on like a difficulty scale, 1 to 10. Obviously the Wii and some of those other mods are on the more novice end, and then you've got your probably Xbox 360 mods and stuff like the PS1 mod that are on the more advanced end. Where would you put this mod?
Super easy.
Super easy?
Yeah.
It's just a software mod?
Just software.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you have to take this little device and plug it into your computer and flash it at all, or is it all done on a memory card?
All done by memory card.
All done on a memory card. You heard the Red Ranger. Super easy. And just out of curiosity, what size SD card is in here?
Just a little 1 terabyte SD card.
A little 1 terabyte SD card. So it's a PlayStation Vita cartridge adapter. It's a micro SD adapter that looks like a PlayStation Vita game. You put your SD card in there, you pop it in this case, you pop it in your PlayStation Vita. In this case, you pop it in your PlayStation Vita TV. And then you sync a DualShock 3 to it?
Just a DualShock 3.
That's it.
That's it.
So, okay, big question that everybody's going to want to know. It's the question that I want to know. What about the games that Sony kind of blocked out, the Vita games that weren't playable on this thing because of maybe like, you know, the back touchscreen or the front touchscreen? Is there a way to play any of that stuff on these?
Yeah, so a lot of those games were blacklisted, so they don't work on the PS Vita TV, but people have found a way around that. And so this mod lets you play all those PS Vita games, and they're not blocked.
This also has PSP games.
Mm-hmm.
It also is capable of PS1 games.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, it's capable of everything that the Vita was capable of.
Everything.
Does that mean emulators like the Sega Saturn are possible on here?
Haven't tried those yet, but Sega Genesis, absolutely. Game Gear, Master System, absolutely. Sega CD, absolutely.
Is something like, well, no, I guess that would probably be PS1 era. So something like Dreamcast possible?
I've tried using those emulators on it and adjusting settings. It's not a perfect experience.
Yeah, I've noticed Dreamcast and N64 are two of those consoles that the emulators are very hit and miss. I still haven't really run across a console or an emulator that plays all of those games just perfectly. The 360 actually plays the N64 games pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
I really like that. The coolest thing about the PlayStation Vita TV, well, it's sort of cool, and at this point it's sort of uncool, is, you know, not that long ago, these things were like super cheap. Like, I want to say within the last year, I was walking through Target and saw them in the game aisle for $30, $40. Really, really cheap. Unfortunately, you know, you always hear me talk about that turnaround pivot in most consoles' life cycles where they are like, they hit rock bottom. They're like the cheapest that they will ever be, and unfortunately, it's the cheapest they ever will be before they start going back up. The PlayStation Vita, because it had such a short lifespan, is, or I guess I should say PlayStation Vita TV, is starting to kind of climb back up now. What are you noticing these things selling on the market for?
I mean, it ranges, you know, based on condition, but, you know, they can be up in the past the 100 range to get a hold of one.
So they have surpassed their original MSRP in most cases, but maybe you have, like me, maybe you have one of these things just lying around your house, and why not do this mod?
I mean, it's a great travel companion. It's small, allows you to use the controllers. I mean, that's really the nice thing about it is, I mean, it's so tiny, you can throw this easily in your suitcase.
Yeah.
Along with a DualShock 3. I mean, the controller is bigger than the actual console.
Yeah, I mean, that's something really to point out. I know what a lot of you are going to say, and I point this out in every video. Raspberry Pi is going to be, you know, smaller than this. Sure, I guess the Raspberry Pi is going to be smaller than this. But, like I always say, let's talk about native hardware. This is native PlayStation Vita hardware. So playing the PlayStation Vita games on this versus something like, is there even a Vita emulator for the PC?
You know, I haven't dabbled in
I would
that.
imagine there probably is. There's PS3 emulators.
There's definitely a PSP emulator.
Yeah.
You know, there's some really good ones.
Yeah.
But Vita, I haven't, you know, tried to emulate that.
So I would imagine there probably is Vita emulators out there. But again, like I always say, it's going to run the best on the original hardware because that's what it was designed for. All right, so now the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's plug this thing in, and you can show us how this thing runs. I'm really curious to see what the menu looks like on this thing.
It'll look familiar.
If you've played one of these, it will definitely look familiar. All right, so now that we got this thing all set up, let's take a look. I mean, this is just your standard old DualShock 3 PlayStation 3 controller. Right now we have it wired in because this one's dead. But as you can see, right now, it's booting up exactly like the original Vita TV would. What is, maybe you can explain to me, what is this here, this Retro Flow launcher?
Well, I think you should click on it. Open it up.
Should I go up there?
Yeah, just move it up there, select it.
All right, so we're just gonna go up there and we're gonna select Retro Flow. Open it up?
Yep, open it
All
up.
right.
Things are about to get a lot prettier.
Okay. Wow. Look at this. Exactly like the Vita mod that I showed you guys a few weeks ago in that video. So is this correct here? There's 373 Vita games on this thing right now?
Yeah, 373 backups, yeah.
Okay, so if I want to get out of here,
just give that square button a touch. Look at that.
look at that.
Got all your home.
And this will take me to Adrenaline, which is
pretty much the PSP side of the PS Vita.
And
So it's an
can I do that here?
You can do it there, but you know what? You actually don't have to, because see all those other things to the right? You got your Atari emulator, your Game Boy, NES, Nintendo 64, Sega, Super Nintendo. You can actually select it from here, and it'll launch Adrenaline from there.
But if I want to play a PSP game,
Hit the square button again.
hit the square button again.
There you go.
What is this?
That's all your PSP
All the
games.
box art for the... Wow.
It's glorious.
This is... God, I remember that game. This is too cool. I mean, we gotta... I just... Look at that. All your PlayStation, Vita, and PSP games all in one place, all on that tiny little console. Burnout Legends.
And it looks good on that big screen, you know? It still looks good.
That's a PSP game that we're playing on my TV. All through that tiny little console that most people didn't even know existed.
And you want to play PlayStation 1, hit the square button a few more times. There you go.
Wow, look at that. A bunch of PS1 games. I mean, look at the retro flow menu though. This is just one of the best looking menus. All right, so tell me that does not look awesome. So, a couple questions for you though. Had you ever seen this mod before you started messing with it?
Nope.
By no means saying that Dr. Mod is the originator of the PlayStation Vita TV mod, but I had never seen one before. How long were you working on this thing?
About a month or two.
About a month or two to get RetroFlow basically working on this.
Yeah. One thing, and especially if you're going to try to do this, which you should. It's a lot of fun. I found out that auto booting RetroFlow, for it to just automatically boot when you turn it on, it causes it to crash. So I had to actually let it load from the bubble screen first, and then you just select it. And that's why I had to do this one differently than the Vita.
Which is why you guys saw when we tested it out, the original Vita menu comes up with the bubbles, and RetroFlow is there. You just open RetroFlow, and boom, there you go. At the end of these Dr. Mod's labs, I'm collecting questions from you guys that you're leaving in the comments, and I'm hitting Dr. Mod with them without him knowing. So, today's question, what was the very first mod you ever did? Or what got you into mods, and what was the very first mod you ever attempted?
I'd have to say, it's the original Xbox.
The original Xbox.
Yeah.
That is actually one that I attempted back in, shoot, I don't know when that was, 2004 probably, 2005? I bricked my Xbox. Completely bricked my Xbox, and I realized then that modding wasn't for me, and that's why you do all my mods. So, original Xbox.
I was really into computers at the time, and the Xbox was very similar to a computer. It was basically a computer.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun to work on. I loved how much I could just work on something and then improve it, and I wanted this all-in-one arcade that me and my family and my friends could enjoy.
The Xbox was certainly good for that.
Yeah, it has a special place in my heart.
Dr. Mod's first mod was the original Xbox. And coincidentally, as we found out last week, your favorite mod is the Xbox 360.
It's true.
So there you go. If you have a question for Dr. Mod, you should hit the comments below, because maybe your question will be the next one that I hit him with next time. I know, I don't, yeah. All right, well, we better let Dr. Mod go back. He's got to do some modifications to Alpha 5, I think.
That's right.
I highly suggest, just like in every video, that you give it a shot if you have one. If you don't feel like giving it a shot, you should hit up Dr. Mod. He's actually right here. I always tell everybody to hit you up. Hopefully you don't mind that.
I don't mind at all.
Okay, see? I told you. You guys can email him whenever you want. His email is always in the description below. But just in case, it's Dr. Mod's Lab at yahoo.com. And he can help you with one of these or one of these other awesome mods like this PlayStation 3 mod right here. And if you don't want to miss videos like this in the future, you should subscribe to the channel right here. And if you have any questions for Dr. Mod, leave them in the comments below, and we'll try and answer them. And until next time, enjoy the journey.